So as far as the UI is concerned, this is what we are planning to build. So we already have this kind of a form. Once we find the customer, or if we don't find, we see this kind of a form where we'll see name, phone number, and email address. That you can see at the bottom as well right now. Okay, once that's being done, we have to add this row at the bottom, that is service, agent, and quantity. Okay, and the reason for this specific row is that this customer is going to take some kind of service, right? He's here to take some kind of service. It might be haircut, it might be head massage, or anything, and that service is going to be provided by certain kind of an agent, right? And along with that, we have kept a quantity field, and the reason for this quantity field is, let's say you and your brother are going to take this service. Let's say you are going to go for haircut. Now only one bill will be generated, right? You will pay that bill, or your brother will pay that bill, but there he can provide the quantity as 2 in this certain cases, right? And along with that, we need to add a plus button. And the reason for this plus button is that you can understand, right? That person who has taken the haircut, he can also go and take head massage as well. So as soon as he clicks on plus button, we need to create one more this kind of a row where he can add more services, more agents, and more quantity to it. And now once everything has been done, we click on save, and actually a record of bill, customer details, and everything gets linked together to create a billing record. Okay, so that's what our goal is. Let's get started. So before we get started right now, what I have done is I am going to use a bill to service object here, okay, to store all these details. So if you have not followed my previous video, I created a bill to service object in the previous video where I already have this lookups to agents, billing, and even quantity and services. Okay, so this quantity field I have just now created it, so you can go ahead and create as well. I'm not wasting time on that. So I've already created a quantity field with the type as number, but agents, billing, and services I have already created in the previous video. Okay, now to store all these details into billing service object, rather than doing everything manually, I'm going to go and use record edit form. Now if you guys don't know what record edit form is, a record edit form is nothing but used to create a form. And if you want to save data to, let's say, record edit form, if you want to create a form which will go and save the data to Apex, okay, without writing any kind of Apex code, or without writing any kind of without writing any kind of Apex code, if you want to save the data to Salesforce, you can use record edit form. So this record edit form, what it's going to do is it's going to generate a form, and without any kind of Apex code, it will still go and save the record to the database. Okay, so I'm going to create a record edit form on bill to service object. So let's go ahead, and first of all, I don't need this button because I don't want to create customer separately, then bill to service separately, then billing record separately. I have to do everything together. So this button is not going to help me right now. Okay, let's go ahead and create a LWC record edit form. Right now I don't need this record ID, I don't need the record type ID as well. Okay, but object API name, inside the object API name, I'm going to give bill to service, and in the field I'm going to provide my 3 fields that we have defined already, that is service, agent, and quantity, right? So one would be services, agent, and quantity. So these 3 fields I need to use so that I can store all these details, right? Let's go ahead and remove rest of the fields as we don't need it. Also, I don't need this button still now because it's just going to go and create a billing to service record, but we have to create bill record, contact record, and bill to service record together. So we don't need this button for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and check out how it looks like. Search the phone number, found it. Okay, so now you can see I have a record edit form available at the bottom. Just before few minutes I have created the agents record. I have also created a service records as well. Okay, like haircut is one of the service which will be provided by the test user, let's say. So here I can go and select the service, that is haircut, agent is test user, and I can also provide the quantity. Okay, but still, as you can see, this form is not as per as the need. Actually we need form something like this in horizontal way, I mean in this way, in slanting way. The form is generated this way, but I want it to be this way. Okay, to do that, what I'm going to do is I am going to first of all add a lightning layout around it. Lightning layout. And as we have to arrange these values in multiple rows, I will give multiple rows. attributes. Yep. Once that is done, then let's go ahead and use lightning layout item. Oops, lightning. Okay, I have not closed it. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, lightning layout hyphen item. Okay, and every field that I have will be enclosed within this lightning layout item. Let me enclose it. Yep. Yes, that's also done as well. And let's enclose this one as well. Okay, that being done, every field that I have is enclosed inside the lightning layout item. So this part of this work is done. Let's keep the overall thing, like the whole row that I have, let's keep the size as 12. Okay, so I'm going to keep size as 12. And then for the larger devices, of course you can keep it for small devices like mobile, for medium devices like tablets, but right now we are on a laptop, so I'm going to give large hyphen device hyphen size as 4. In very simple terms, what I'm trying to do over here is I've kept the whole size as 12. I'm considering this whole screen size as 12, and what I'm doing is for large size devices I will encapsulate out of these 4 columns. In very simple terms, if I try to draw it, the whole size will be divided as the whole screen will be considered as a 12, and each of this field for large device size I will consider only 4. So one part will be taken by one field, that is in our case is service, next part will be taken by agents, and next part will be taken by the quantity field. Okay, so for that purpose I'm going to use these attributes. So let's copy paste it and paste it at every lightning layout item. You can do it for other devices as well, like for an example, if you want to do it for mobile devices, instead of large devices you will use small devices. Let me search it. Yeah, as you can see right now, the services, agents and quantities are now coming right beside each other. Now it makes a lot of sense. Now I can go add a service, I can add an agent, I can add a quantity. I just don't have a button yet, but still, as you can see, it's somewhat started to look like what we were thinking of. But now we still need a plus button over here. Okay, what this plus button is used for, of course we know, as soon as I click on plus button, one more record edit form should get generated, and I should be able to add more services if I need, right? So for that purpose, right now we are just having only one lightning record edit form. We need multiple lightning record edit form, and for that you are going to learn something new here. Okay, so you have to generate an object first of all, and then you have to duplicate, or you have to add the values to this object, so that more and more values will get created and more and more record edit form will get created. Without any text, I will just start doing it so that you will understand it further. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a track decorated item list. Let's say item list. Okay, and I'm going to keep, of course it's going to hold multiple values, so I'm giving square braces and I'm creating an object structure inside it. Let's name it as id colon equals to 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increment the value. Okay, I have not imported the track. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same item list. Every time someone goes and clicks on the button, okay, first of all they go and click on the button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the value of this item list, so the values get accumulated it, and then I can see multiple record edit form. But even before that, let's go ahead and create that button. I have not created that button, I just recognize that. Okay, so for that again you will need a lightning layout item, and now I'm going to keep the size as 2 because I don't want this button to be that broad. Okay, and then I'm going to use LWC hyphen icon. Now to just add that plus button, instead of, see, by default Salesforce LWC always provides some kind of icon name, so you can use action new. Now this will be acting as, okay, let's say I'm going to give an alternate text as add value, add row. Okay, and there will be one more icon. Of course we need one more icon just to remove the value. Okay, there will be a minus icon because sometimes we can click on plus by mistake, and that's the reason why we have to also remove it. So we will have one more action close. Okay, so these are by Salesforce, by default Salesforce given. I know this, so that's why I'm using it. If you don't know it, you can always Google it and find it out, but still right now I'm using two icons. One is action new, which will be acting as a plus button with the blue color, and one more will be action close, which will be most probably pink color, and it will have a cross icon. Let me show you. So as you can see, I have a plus icon and I have a cross icon. So I can go and add a service. If I want to, I can add a quantity. If I want, if I can click on plus, one more recorded data form should get added where I can add more services. Right now, these buttons don't work because it's just a car without any engine. So I have not written any logic for it. Okay, so let's go ahead and write the logic for it. So for on click of this specific button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run an on click function, on click, and I'm going to write a function called as add row. Okay, now when this add row is going to happen, I'm going to use the same item list value. Okay, and I'm going to increment the id value of it, id1, id2, id3, so that item list value keeps on accumulating based on the times, based on the number of times I click on this plus icon, and I can see multiple recorded form. I will also loop over it, so let me show you first. And before even that, I will create one more variable called as key index. Okay, which I will use to increment. Initially it will be 0. Okay, now what's going to happen is that, let me copy paste both of them. What I'm going to do is every time a add row is going to get clicked, I'm going to plus this index. So initially it will be 0. Next time if I click on plus, the id would be 1 and vice versa. Okay, now what I'm going to do is item list I small. Okay, fine. So every time I'm going to click on plus, this key index value is going to keep on increasing, and I have to add the same value to this item list variable. But wait, I have to create that object structure. Like if you ever used a JavaScript object, JSON object, you have to create the same structure and then push the values to it. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to use a temporary object. Let's say var temp obj equals to, and I'm going to create a curly braces inside it, and I'm going to write id colon this dot key index. So I'm using a temporary object where the incremented value, that key index value, will get added. Previously it was 0, now the id will become 1, and I will push, or I'll concatenate the same value over here. So this dot item list dot concat, sorry, yeah, temp object. Okay, so exactly what's going to happen, every time you click on this plus button, what's going to happen is that initially the item list value was 0, right? Next time if you click on plus button, this key index value will become 1. That object will properly get created. Okay, you will have an object with id value as 1 now, and you will concatenate with the same. So what's going to happen is that one more id equals to 1 will get added here now. Again if I click on plus button, again one more value will get added. But sorry, again if you click on the plus icon, it will go and add one more id with the id value as 2, and vice versa. The number of times you will keep on adding, the item list will keep on concatenating the id as 0, 1, 2, 3, and vice versa. Okay, initially I'm keeping it as 0. Okay, so our logic is done for the add row at the JavaScript end. But even if I click on the button, the numbers will keep on increasing, but the same thing has to be shown on the screen as well, on the UI as well. Okay, so for that I'm going to loop over the item list because I have to create multiple times the record edit form. So first of all, what I'm going to do, okay, so let's go ahead and add a template for each. Okay, and here we will add item list. And let's enclose this template slash template. Yep, now that being done, let's write for item, let's write it at item, and then for index, let's write it as index, and then let's give the key. If you're looping over every time, you have to use the key. If you don't know about it, whenever you're looping over, even on a div, you have to go and use a key. So I'm going to use a key over here, and I'm going to write item.id. Sorry, not id, it should be small I. And let's click on save. Yeah, now it's working. Okay, let's go ahead and click on search. So now as you can see, a services, agents and quantity is being done. Now every time I click on this plus button, add row will get created, and item list, to this item list a new value will get added, and you will loop on the same value, and now you will have two record edit forms. If I click on plus, you can see I have one more record edit form. If I click on plus, one more record edit form, and vice versa. So this was all I had to explain in this video. In the next video, we are going to work on how to remove the value, how to remove that specific row. But if you want, you can go ahead, write the code in the comment section. I will show you like whether it's correct or not, but I will still create a video on that so that you can also remove the value from the row. So if you found this video helpful, I request you to please like this video and subscribe to my channel.